earlier this summer you thought you had, what, 32 billion?
Probably 20, but a whole lot more than I do now.
I can't imagine what it feels like to go from $20 billion to $100,000.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a really humbling fall in a lot of ways.
How do you explain the failure? Was it inattention, arrogance?
It's a good question.
That was former cryptocurrency mogul Sam Bankman-Fried sitting down with ABC News' George Stephanopoulos last year. In our spotlight, SBF could now be facing the rest of his life in prison after the 31-year-old FTX founder was found guilty on all 7 counts of fraud, conspiracy, and money laundering in what federal prosecutors called one of the biggest financial frauds in American history. Let's bring back our panel, John, Amanda, LZ, and joining us is ABC News legal contributor and trial attorney Brian Buckmeyer. Brian, I'll start with you. In that same interview, Sam Bankman-Fried said he was ultimately responsible for the downfall of his companies. Did anything surprise you with this very quick, by the way, guilty verdict?
Yeah, I wasn't really surprised by the verdict because at the end of the day, this case was about knowledge and intent when it came to SBF. Did he know that these transactions were fraudulent, that this conspiracy was going on, and what was his intent? But when you put the 3 kind of like deputies, his closest friends, his ex-girlfriend, his childhood friend, up on the stand who are now flipping on him and saying, no, he knew exactly what was going on, it became a question of credibility, and that's why you see we got this verdict as quickly as we did.
So quickly, and John, talk about the message of Bankman-Fried here. He donated millions of dollars to U.S. political campaigns. He was photographed with world leaders. What does that say about how much access he had to lawmakers, you're a former congressman, and to possibly influence them as he was clearly undergoing fraud at the same time?
Well, it's just a sad example in a long history in America where if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And I think regulators and law enforcement did not keep pace with the changes that were coming here, right? Cryptocurrency exchanges are like the Wild West. No one really knows what the heck is going on with them, and no one knows how to deal with them. So it's sad that he's meeting this fate, but at the same time, America has an insatiable appetite for progress, and we don't always meet that progress with good regulation and common sense. And that goes to the politicians who took money from this guy. And it's just another sad example that we've got to, when we have these innovations in the United States, we've got to make sure that we're following, keeping pace with them as well.
Yeah, every attempt at crypto regulation seems to somehow just sort of disappear. Amanda, I'm curious about your thoughts about the fact that, you know, he is not, Sam Bankman-Fried is not the first founder who has kind of gone down in flames like this. We saw Elizabeth Holmes of Theranos. At what point do these, you know, business leaders who were on the cover of magazines, do they ever become a cautionary tale, or are we going to continue to see this with the next CEO in a couple years?
I think we've had get-rich schemes commercials always on American TV. I think we've always had the whiz kid wonder story in Silicon Valley. And I think we still are in love with that story. But this, you know, I sort of feel like we're seeing more and more of people actually have to go to jail, all of a sudden be accountable for some of these things they've done in their lives. Do I think it'll necessarily change the way we look at these things or the whiz kid we want to learn about? I don't. That's sort of innovation. What does need to happen, though, is we really do need to start figuring out how do you regulate particularly these cutting-edge industries. And I do think investors will take a deeper look when we're talking about finances or medical or some of the complicated innovations that we're seeing today as we think about AI coming online. I do think this is a sign of how are we making sure we're doing the research and how do we make sure it doesn't affect as many people because social media and distribution mechanisms are so widespread today.
A great point. And LZ, I'll go to you. Are there lessons we can learn for other regulation in crypto or other technologies? Plus, what does it say about the fact that, you know, FTX was endorsed by so many big names, so many celebrities, too, who fell for this?
Well, you know, it's disappointing because, you know, at the beginning of big tech, if you will, there was sort of like this promise that they were going to do business differently. And I guess it was because there were so many young people and idealistic people attached to it that we thought that they would actually put people first or put labor first. And the lesson in all of this is that capital is still important or still first in our economy, and that more often than not, leadership tends to bend towards capital than what's better for people. And until we make that ideological shift, we're going to always have this story of people trying to get as much as they can for as little as possible, taking advantage of workers and et cetera, because it's about capital and not about the labor, not about the people.
That is a conversation that we could have for a lot longer time. We'll have to have you back for that. LZ, John, Amanda, and Brian, thanks so much, and stay with us.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.